edition of the Sunday Monday vlog. Your position is a little different because I had a request to see some of the pooches. So I'm going to go through, let you guys see the pooches since everybody's been wondering. This is Max, Mr. Handsome Boogs. What do you think, Boogs? You saying hi? He's laying by the fire. He's like, it's nice and toasty over here. We got Mr. Chubbs. He don't know what's going on. He's like, what? I didn't sign no release to be on camera. That's Mr. Chubbs. We got lazy Minnie Mouse over here, seeping her life away. You can see they love their couches. And we got Mickey Mouse hiding over here. Right, Papa Dinks? That's my good days. Oh, yes. Seepy. Max laying on the floor by the fire. He likes the fire. Anywho, back to the journey. Back to today's topics. Back to the live stream here at today's Homesteader. So, the big news I forgot to tell you guys yesterday. I got some new news too. I just got some new news about 50 minutes ago. So I'll go over that in a minute. But the big news I forgot to tell you guys was right before Thanksgiving, I decided to do something and get clean again. For those of you that have been subscribed for a long time, get out kitchen. Get out kitchen. Thank you. For those of you that have been following me for a long time, know I have had a Coke problem. It's not a problem for me, but everybody says I drink way too much Coke. So, Thanksgiving, the photo that you saw, for those of you that don't know, I drank, for 8.5 years, I drank 24 cans of Coke a day. One of my subscribers way back then, I believe it was either 2017 or 2018, somewhere in there, did the calculations, and she was showing how many thousands of dollars I spent over that 8.5 years. And that got me thinking, I want to be at the homestead. I don't want to be here at the restaurant. So what can I do that is a self-luxury, because I've already stopped going out to restaurants all the time like I used to put money into the homestead. What else can I sacrifice? So I'm sacrificing my Cokes. I'm not buying Cokes anymore. I've done the calculations. I'm spending between $250 and $280 a month buying Coke. So, no more buying Coke for this homesteader. Now, when I go out to eat, if I get fast food or something, I'll have a Coke, but I'm not going to buy it anymore. I'm going to try to shift that $250, $280 a month going to the homestead, getting me over there permanently in the shed. And then I just spoke to one of my subscribers earlier, and I was saying that I'm looking at trying to figure out if I get the 3M stuff sometime next year, then I'm going to buy another shed or storage building and get all my stuff in here moved out. And I don't think I'm going to redo this building like I had talked about before. I think I'm just going to go ahead and put the building up on the market, get this building sold. Then I can take part of that money to pay some of my debts, and then the rest of the money will get me started on my house. It won't be able to finish my house, but it should give me enough to get the cinder block walls, a roof, and hopefully all the windows and doors to the outside so I can at least be dried in. Then I can get out the shed into that. And then over the next several years, and then hopefully eventually Colorado sells, then I can go ahead and put in the bathroom. I'll get the septic line put in, all that type of stuff, and finally be at the homestead. And then for those of you that saw the live stream today, while I was over there, I just did a quick live stream talking about the Sunday Monday vlog tonight. It was clear. At least when I look back at it, it looks clear. So if anybody had any issues, let me know. But it looks like I got perfect signal up there at the house site, which means when I get the camels close to the house, once I build the house, I'll be able to do a lot more live streams with the camels up there and do some chats maybe around bonfire and my views and what I do around the house, and get you guys a little more content. I know everybody over the years, they always want more and more content. They want me to do more and more and more. However, I'm not one of those channels that I thrive on YouTube. I do this to document my life, but also to be a part of you guys. But I like to live my life. All these channels like Home Free Alaska, Appalachia's Homestead with Patera, Boss of the Swamp. They're my 3 favorite channels, if you guys haven't known that over the years. But they like to do all the edits. They like to add all the things to it. And I'm thankful they like to do that because they occupy my time in what I watch. You know, especially Home Free Alaska, she does like 45 minutes to hour videos. So that gives me a whole long time of sitting on the couch just enjoying. So today, that was my big news, by the way, was I'm no longer drinking Coke or buying Coke. The second news that just came up about 50 minutes ago is I have somebody possibly interested in the 10 or 20 acres. They're going to get back in contact with me Wednesday or Thursday to come out and look at part of the homestead, the 10 to 20 acres. So that might be going through. And then I just got about 30 minutes prior to that, the wire just came through from the house in Marshall. So my credit card hasn't posted, which sucks because I can't pay the credit card off right now. To use the credit card before midnight tonight, I called my bank up. They said that they can't do anything. It's pending. It won't post until tomorrow at 12:01, which means the sale's over, which means I'm going to spend a lot more on the solar. They try to increase the credit, which I said, if you think you can, and they ran it and they go, nope, you got bad credit. We can't do nothing for you. I'm like, I know that. Why? Because I live in debt. When you live in debt, you don't have credit. Whatever credit you had before you go into debt, you don't want to lose that because once you lose it, then you have nothing. So I can't apply for other credit cards. I can't, like tonight, they try to increase my credit line on credit card. None of that can be done with having bad credit. So that's where credit comes in handy if you need to do stuff like that. But, you know me, I live in debt. That's just my life. So today, I got so much accomplished today. I woke up at 7 o'clock. Felt like crap, went back to bed until about 11:30, got out, fed the animals, loaded the bales of straw in the back of the truck, went up, made that quick short and that live stream, did maybe a third of the truck with firewood, brought that home, and went and laid on the couch with the dogs. That's all I did today. So, some of you think that everybody works all the time and does everything all the time. I don't. I know I don't show the bad days that I have. I just like any channel. You only see what YouTubers want to show you of their life. I try to keep it as real as possible. And to go kind of into that topic. So while I was laying on the couch, for any vets out there that are watching this, I'm going to tell you something graceful that I saw today while laying on the couch that I think is amazing. And any of you that judge a book by its cover and not know the story or the purpose behind it, I'm going to get to it. So I got a lot of Marines on my Facebook, but I have one Marine and somebody asked how he's able to do everything that he does because he doesn't work. And he made the comment that he gets VA disability like I do. And somebody got in there, a troll, just like a lot of YouTube channels have trolls, thankfully. I've only had 1 or 2 over this whole lifespan. Another great reason to only be at 4,000 subscribers, which I forgot to say that a month ago. Somebody told me that I finally hit 4,000 subscribers. But when you're a small channel and you don't try to sell all this stuff and become a big channel, you don't have to deal with all the trolls. And so this troll gets on his thread or post, whatever you call it, and said, oh, isn't that nice to get free money from the government? Now, the guy I know, not like personally, I've talked to him and stuff, but he's on Facebook. He responded back. He said, I don't know if you know, but the military is voluntary. you can voluntary, whatever. I'm lost on my word right now. But anybody can sign up for the military, was basically the point. Very, very classy. Didn't argue with the person, didn't do anything. And the person responded back, and he went into all different tirade stuff and everything. But basically was, oh, he's not going to risk his life signing up to get free money. Well, there you go. That's what it boils down to. If you're not willing to sign the paper and you know your life could be at risk, then how can you sit there and complain about somebody that did it? Now, because I've talked to this Marine, I know that he was in an IED in, I think, Afghanistan. I know it wasn't Iraq. I think it was Afghanistan. And he's got a TBI. For those of you that don't know what TBI is, traumatic brain injury. So he gets all different medical stuff for his stuff. And the whole point is, if you're a vet, if you've had people say that to you, which luckily I haven't, because most people have class unless you deal with a troll like that. But you never know. Just like the people that, park in a handicapped spot and they walk up to the store and they look perfectly fine, you have no idea what's behind the story. Just like my subscriber from Massachusetts that came out to visit, I've showed my neck a bunch of times, and like he agreed, you can't really tell my neck on camera, but in person, my neck bulges way out there. It looks way different in person than it does on the camera. So just because I do stuff I'm not supposed to do, and what is recommended not to do, or I can do more damage, I do it because that's the risk I'm willing to take. Because I signed the dotted line in that contract, if I get injured doing stuff for the government, then that's what gets paid. But you also got to realize how many veterans do not get any type of disability, do not get any type of medical or anything like that unless you do the 20 years. So you have to be willing to sign the dotted line to start with. And then second, if you get injured, that's the only way you're going to get that money. Now, I will say, I'm sure all veterans, including me, would not like to have our injuries. I know with Steve, my buddy that's out here, for whatever reason, he is in the tone that I've lost in my hearing. And half the time, I don't even hear him talking. And I know it's annoying for him, and it's annoying for me because I can't hear, and I got to keep asking, what you say, what you say, what you say. Or he'll hear different sounds, and he's like, did you hear that? And I don't hear it because it's in that tone range. Now, yes, if I didn't get injured and I wasn't getting my VA, I would not be doing what I'm doing. Because my goal in life was to buy a flat in New York City, or I was going to be on a beach. I was not going to do anything near Arkansas, nor near animals or anything like I'm doing. So yes, my life would be totally different, and I could have done a lot more, probably made a lot more money in the long run if I didn't get injured. With my hearing, it's definitely not a fun thing because, along with Steve, I've had a lot of people say my music's too loud, my TV's too loud, my phone systems are too loud. But when you have hearing loss, everything's got to be amped up in order for me to hear it. So what I think, I lowered the volume for somebody in the other room. They're saying it's way too loud. But to me, I thought I lowered it as low as I could. And I'm sitting here like people that are trying to read and they don't have their glasses and they're squinting. That's kind of what I do is, I like squeeze my head like, oh, come on, you got to hear it. And it's a downfall. So no, I don't think any vet wants to be injured. No, I don't think anybody just wants to be disrespected the way he was disrespected. But then again, look, we're in this society. We're in the times that we're in. And as we know, the only people that you should kind of be mad at that are getting free money are people that come into the country illegally. The people get free phones, free college, and all that, and you could get the same thing. You just got to sign on a dotted line for the military. You get free medical while you're in. You get free college. You can get your degrees while you're in, then come out and get a different thing. However, once again, we all make our choices. We all decide whether we want to take that risk to possibly get something for free, get education, get free travel, going to different bases overseas. But you also have to realize that when you sign that dotted line, you may have lifetime ailments for the rest of your life. Just like with me, if I didn't get injured in the service, I still got injured in the service because of the 3M earplugs BS. So that was not something the military knew about. That was a private corporation. So you never know what's going to happen. But then again, like I said, tomorrow you could be driving down the road, a drunk driver hits you, or a bus hits you, or what have you, and you could be in the same circumstance. Yes, you won't get military disability, but your life can be changed overnight. And I guarantee whatever disability you have, you're going to be sitting there thinking after it happens, I'd rather have my health and no money than a disability with a small check. So that's just something for you guys to consider out there, for those of you that might be one of those types of trolls that say stuff like that to people. Hopefully not on this channel, because like I said, I haven't had any issues with people on this channel. Another thing I wanted to address as of last night, because last night's Sunday Monday vlog, there were so many people commenting, we going back and forth, was getting back to Scott's comment from Georgia on I shouldn't do any more owner finances. Scott, the reason I'm doing that is I've had people help me out in my life. And I feel if I can be in the circumstance to help, yes, it's delaying me if I do another owner finance from being able to build my house and live the life I want to live. But if I got to sacrifice staying here in the restaurant a little bit longer to help somebody else out, that's what I'm willing to do. That's why I do so many, try to do owner finances, rent owns, things like that to help out. So I look at it this way. When I leave this planet, I know I left doing a lot of good, whether my name's remembered or not. I know in my heart and my soul that I did good while I was here. I wasn't out there stealing from people. I wasn't robbing people. I wasn't vandalizing, committing other crimes and stuff like that. I didn't take people for granted. I help people just like I still do. If I see somebody that is trying to change a flat tire, I stop or turn around. I'll help change out tires. I've towed vehicles with the tow chain and tow straps. I would give hitchhikers rides if I don't have the dogs with me, because we all know the dogs will eat any of the people that would hop in the vehicle. But that's why I do what I do. That's why I live my life the way I live. And to address one last topic, and that is, I had a couple people reach out and say, I shouldn't be talking about financial stuff. I've had my mama, I've had my grandfather, I've had all different family throughout my life, and friends and YouTube subscribers all tell me this. The reason I'm so clear-cut, transparent on it is because there's so many channels out here that talk about what they're doing on a homestead, all these big projects, all these fancy tractors and windmills and solar arrays and hunting cabins and beachfront cabins and things like that. Keep working. I know you keep it to what you can do. I appreciate that, DT. But all these channels out here show so many, like I've said millions of times, rainbows and unicorns and glitter and everything else. And everybody thinks that they can do it. Along with these channels that say, oh, you can go off grid and not have to make all this money and it's so cheap. and people don't tell you the reality. So, yes, it's not good to share, I guess, financial information, people say, but the positive is I'm always in debt. The bank has my properties on a loan. So, it's not like I've got millions of dollars like, I don't even know other channels that got millions of dollars. But you see all these different channels, they have tons of money and people can go after them and stuff like that. I know if somebody comes after me, the bank has liens against everything. So then they got to deal with the banks. And then I have all the animals. That's a lot of money to do. So that's why I'm not worried about in that aspect. And like I said, the money that comes in goes right back out. So it's not like I got money sitting around. The 15,000 from yesterday, or from the Marshall house that I said was being wired either Tuesday or Wednesday, actually just came in a couple hours ago. So 5,000 went to credit, or will go credit card as soon as this pending transaction goes through. Then the next 5,000 goes out for the next set of solar. And then, like I said, I got to buy hay. I got to get excavation work done. I got to get the shed moved. So there goes the other $5,000. So as quick as money comes in, I spend it. But I'm making progress. I may not be making progress like some of these big homesteads that have all this money to spend, have all these partner deals where they're getting paid per episode that they do, or selling water bottles or Glad, wrap and seal, whatever, vacuum bags, things like that. I've had people reach out to me. I don't want to be one of those channels. So in the long run, I just live the way I live. I do the things that I do. And I appreciate people trying to look out for me. Same thing with everybody that told me stop drinking Coke. You can be happy. I'm not buying it no more for now. But, we all just got to make our own decisions. And the thing is, if you want to be somewhere, if you want to do something, it comes down to what you're willing to give up. Am I willing to give up Coke? Yep, I'm giving up Coke now. That's $250 a month that now can go towards getting me to the homestead. What is your goal? What is your dream? What can you give up right now? Are you paying a bunch for Roku and Disney Plus and all these streaming services every month, along with all your other bills, where you could cut some of that down and that money could be going towards buying your own land, could be going towards buying that car you want, buying that new cell phone you want. Sacrifices. It's what we got to do. A Coke break won't hurt. You're right. And I'll have a Coke break as soon as I go out to eat somewhere. I'll order me a Coke for sure, because it won't hurt. But yeah, I am cutting the Coke out for a while. How long? I don't know. My grandmother's like, my mama in Colorado, she's like, oh, we'll see how long this lasts. Last time I did it for 2.5 years. I didn't drink any Coke, except at restaurants. I didn't buy any Coke to bring home. Didn't bring Coke home from anywhere, just at restaurants. So I did 2.5 years. I do have that strong willpower. That's one of the benefits for me, is I can cut it out. Now, buying animals, we all see I got tons of animals. The money coming in from the Marshall house, there's a lot of animal deals right now. If you go online and you know the exotic places to look, there's a lot of good deals for animals right now. However, I got the willpower. I'm not buying any new animals. I do have bad willpower on keeping money. As we see, I'm always in debt. Money comes in, money goes right back out. Why? Because I had no willpower to hold money. Having money, I haven't had a soda since the mid-90s. Oh, wow, DT. That's a long time. I was only a child then. Please don't buy more animals. In fact, you should sell some. Scott, I've actually thought about it. To be honest, I've actually thought about selling some animals, but I'm in a conundrum because it's like, what animals do I sell? I don't know. I want to sell the goats because the goats poop everywhere, get into everything. But then again, like right now while I'm doing fencing, I go down, I let Miracle out the llama, and I let the goats out. All the goats, not one or two goats. I'm talking all the goats come out, and they just cruise around wherever I go doing my fencing. I say, guys, let's go in. Hey, goats, hey, goats. And they come running, and they go in. I'll film that one of these days. But they go in for me. They listen better than the dogs. The dogs don't want to listen. The goats will listen to me. Miracle listens to me. So it's like I don't want to get rid of them because of that. But then I look at keep what you can make money breeding. Maybe the ostriches. Oh, I don't have ostriches. Emus. Well, and see, there we go. So with the emus, I have the incubator. It's in the shed, which means then I have to incubate eggs, which means I got to take care of the babies because as we saw last year, that big cold snap came through and took out all my baby emus. So yes, I could sell those. The big key is I got to get to the homestead first before I can do any of this, and I got to get everything set up. And the incubator takes a lot of power, so that means a bigger solar system since I'm going to be doing off-grid now. Since I'm not going to go through the power company like I've been wanting to do. But it's just, I know I'm never going to eat goat, or I don't think I'm ever going to eat goat. So it's like I want to get rid of the goats because that's not something, if doomsday happens, you got to remember, I'm semi-prepper still. So I still think in those situations, and military standpoint, I think tactical. So goats make a lot more noise than the cows do. My cows are a lot more quieter than the goats. So tactically, the cows are better. Beef, I would eat beef over eating goat. If I had to eat goat, I would eat goat because in survival training, I ate earthworms, I ate raw minnows, I ate all different stuff. Grasshoppers, crickets, leaves, dandelions, anything we could find out there. So I could eat goat. But the thing is, the horses, I like the horses. The miniature donkeys, I like the miniature donkeys. The cows, I could be eating cows eventually. I got to get to my house. I need a house so I can have the freezer so I can put up a beef. So then I'm not buying from grocery store, not buying the pink slime or the fake meat or the steroids or the hormones or all the stuff that's pumped into the beef. The camels, I definitely can't get rid of the camels. I love my camels. The emus, I love the emus. Peacock, same thing. So that's the hard part. The only thing that I could kind of get rid of is the pigs. But nobody in Arkansas wants to buy pigs because there's a million wild hogs here. And you can hunt wild hogs year-round here in Arkansas. So anybody can get pork for free, so why would they buy my pig? I've sold some pigs, but it's real hard to sell pigs here in Arkansas. Unless you have like a pot belly or a coon or something like that. But then again, the pigs are helpful because when I've butchered, like with Carla, when we butchered out the one goat, then I have a disposal system for the rest of the carcass and things like that. Same thing with the little bull calf that we got from one of the local farmers here, or I got, and Steve got some of the backstrap that he took, and I fed the beef to the dogs. Whatever I'm not going to feed to the dogs went to the hogs. So it's always good to have hogs too, because then you got a garbage disposal on hand that you don't have to worry about calling somebody with a backhoe to come dig a hole. You can dispose of that way. As you see, Tiny Dude, Baby Boy, they're the original goats from the 3 that I got. The mountain lion killed the 3rd. Jackson was the very next goat I got. So I still had those 3 original. I still got Mickey and Minnie. They're the original Anatolian Shepherds. So I've got a lot of the originals. Hey, Norman, how you doing? I hope Chicago's not too cold. I hear you got a little bit of cold last night. We got down to, I think, like 18 degrees here. But Scott, that's the problem. I don't know what to sell because that's the thing. Freezing. Oh, yeah, definitely. It's going to warm up, though. We're going to be back in the 60s in a day or two and then have a few days of 60s over the next week. But that's my problem, Scott, is They're pets. They're family. I don't want to get rid of anything I have. And then the other thing too with the goats, the benefit of having the goats is they eat everything. The camels eat everything. They eat sticker bushes. They eat the poison ivy. They eat the poison oak. Uh, we have briars. They eat the briars. They eat the wild blackberries that are all thorns. I have like 8 or 9 different types of thorns on the homestead, and some of them are very aggressive. And I want animals that are going to eat that, along with poison ivy. We know I was breaking out a bunch, so to get rid of the poison ivy is good. Another benefit for the goats is, as I get a bunch of baby bucklings, I still have not done this, and I know I've said a million times I'm going to do it, but I need to go buy a bander and bands. And as I have baby boys, I need to band them after about a year and let them grow to 2 years. And then I want to butcher out the males for the dogs so I can make my own dog food. Because now, especially now, 20 or 44 pound bag of dog food now, I just spent $29 before taxes. So it was over $30 with taxes now. And that's for the cheap stuff. Goat milk and goat cheese, that would be awesome. Norman, but that's another iron in the fire. Now, Carla did that. I got her the goat stand and all that, and she had all that set up at the time. I don't have the time to do all that, nor do I have the patience to sit there and do goat after goat after goat. It's a lot to do. Dogs boil egg, cut down on cost of dog food. And that was a good thing about having chickens as well. And that's one thing I do want to buy in the future is I want to get chickens again. But I'm going to be smart this next time around. I'm going to make a bird aviary, which is going to be massive. We're not talking a tiny little pen like most people keep their chickens in. I'm going to do a massive bird aviary. It's also going to have the peacocks in there. And I do want to get some female peacocks because all I have are male peacocks. So I do want to get some females because then they can produce babies, and peacocks I can sell for a decent price. But yes, that's another thing. I want eggs for the dogs. I'm not a big egg eater. I eat eggs maybe 2-3 times a year. So it's none of the animals really benefit me. It's me spending all my money on the animals. However, the main benefit from the animals for me is, I guess, like vets with PTSD and stuff. I don't have PTSD. But vets with PTSD, they do equine therapy and stuff like that. That is what has been my go-to my entire life since I was a little kid. So I don't know if I've ever talked about it, but when I was little, I wanted to be a vet because I loved animals. I did 4-H, I did Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, all that stuff. I loved nature, loved animals, and I never became a vet. Why? I couldn't put an animal down. That was my heart. I could not put an animal down. I had that innocent heart. So what happened? I went in the military and learned how to dispatch things. More 2-legged things than 4-legged things. But that gave me a colder heart that I can do that now. So having animals, as we know, I've had to do a couple for injuries and stuff like that over the years. But I wanted to be a vet. Animals have always given my heart that plug. That hole that's been in my heart is plugged by animals. That's why I won't ever get rid of my animals. If I don't have animals, I don't know what to do in this life, to be honest. Like I said before, when I was on all the pills from the VA, I laid on couch, laid in bed, watched movies, played video games. It was not a life. I just got weaker and weaker. I got colds and flus and stuff like that where, as you see, every once in a while I'll get a head cold, or like when I met Carla, I got the bug from her, and that was really bad. But normally I'm sick maybe once a year, if that. Seasonal allergies have basically disappeared because I'm in Arkansas now, I'm not in Colorado. The ragweed in Colorado is bad. But with the animals, I do plan to get more animals. But in order for me to try to make something semi-successful, which I know, and this is another reason why I'm so transparent on this channel. is because all these channels talk about, oh, you can get chickens and start an egg business and you can make all this money doing this and this and this. But nobody tells you all the true costs. I don't think there's anything homestead wise, unless you get into something that has a very few people doing it, like the microgreens. The microgreens came out, everybody was selling microgreens for huge prices. And then everybody saw how cheap it was to do microgreens, and they went ahead and started doing it. Well, now the market's flooded with microgreens. Everybody can do it. Same thing with the fodder system, where you had the trays, you put the grain, the water ran through the seeds, it made grass carpets, and you fed the fodder to the animals. Everybody started doing that. That went away. So you got to find something that only a few people are going to do it, that have a high upside to make that money. Goats, everybody in the world has goats. So you can't really make a bunch of money in goats unless you do paper goats. Then you're spending a lot of money up front. And then in an economy like now, where people are making videos on YouTube right now showing Walmart's empty, Best Buy's empty, and they're like, what happened to the good days when we got entertainment of watching people be ran over and tased and fist fights over a big screen TV? That's the economy we're living in. You've got to figure out a fallback plan. You got to be semi-prepperish, like I'm trying to do with my animals. If something happens, I've got a lot of food to eat on the homestead. Now, if the whole world falls apart, there's a lot of people probably coming to my homestead along with all the cattle farms around me, because there's a lot of food sitting there. That's my fallback plan. That's another reason to have animals, is a food source. I thought of opening a petting zoo. It would be popular here. Norman, I wouldn't recommend it. After all the stuff I went through when I did the petting zoo in Colorado, I wouldn't wish that on nobody, and it's just a bummer. This is true. Hope it never comes to that. Right. So in the meantime, just like the horses help vets with PTSD, the animals do that for me. A lot of people say you don't need 4 dogs. I used to have 5 dogs. Good night, DT. You take care. I know you got to wake up early for work. Give me a call sometime later this week. But I had 5 Anatolian Shepherds, and everybody's like, you don't need 5 Anatolian Shepherds. Well, when they're your babies, you want them. So it's hard to get rid of. Same thing with my animals now. Now, all the new baby goats that I had last year that I still have, because I didn't sell, which another big reason, Scott, why I don't, and everybody else, not just Scott, but why I don't sell animals is because I got used to having Carla. Carla did all the Facebook stuff. She did the marketplace. I'm not a techie person. She would go on and message people, and then I'd be at the house while she's at work. They would come to the house, buy a baby goat, and that'd be that. I hate dealing with people. I'm antisocial. I know nobody believes I'm antisocial, especially when I go to town. Everybody's like, oh, he's the governor. Everybody knows him. I have a big personality. I make an impression, people say. That's why people know me. But socially, I am antisocial. So I don't like dealing with a million people online. Just like these people talking about come and see the property. I've had a bunch of people. Like I told you, what was it, last Sunday, Monday vlog, somebody said they had cash. Haven't heard back from them. They were supposed to call me the next day. Never heard back. It's a million people keep doing this. So it's aggravating. When you're trying to sell animals and you're trying to sell a goat for $90 or $100, and I was living in Marshall at the time, and a lot of the goats were at the homestead, not at Carla's, and then we brought them to Carla's when she started milking. Well, if you got to drive back and forth or take the goat somewhere to meet somebody and they don't show up, well, guess what? You just spent that gas money back and forth. And you do that 3 or 4 times. Well, you spend as much as what you're going to sell that goat for. So in the long run, it ends up, it's not worth it. So I could take a trailer load of goats up to the auction and sell them to the auction, which is possibility in the future once I get a herd big enough. What I'm hoping for is to get, up to like 75 goats, so that way I can get at least 25, 30 babies a year. And then that's a trailer load of goats to the auction. Or every other year, that's a whole bunch of dog food to make for the dogs. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where this journey goes. It all depends on money, which, like I said, I'm always in debt. So money, I guess, isn't an option because, or an issue, because I always try to find a way of doing something. And as we see, I spend $2,500 a month feeding the animals, and we all know I don't eat $2,500 worth of food. People raise a few cows easy. Right, Norman. If you want to do something like that, so there are some feasible ways of doing animals, but a lot of channels don't talk about it. And that is, you can raise 3 goats, 2 females, and a billy. So you're going to have that stink, which a lot of people don't want the stink from the billy. But then you get babies from each of the females, and then you sell the babies. And then you have the next batch, sell the babies, you can do milk on small scale. Now, yes, if you get into something like me, you need thousands of dollars a month in feed. You need tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars for fencing and pens and barns and everything else. Hence why I don't have a barn. Hence why all the fencing's not done. Hence why I'm not buying any more animals, because I don't have that type of money. Slowly but surely, month after month, I stopped drinking Coke, and I've stopped going to restaurants, and I eat less meals per day and less food per day, so that way I have more money to build fencing and do things on the homestead. Once again, we're going full circle right back to the sacrifices. But same thing like Norman said with the cattle. You can raise a couple cattle, you sell 2, you keep 1 for slaughter. There's meat in your freezer. Then next year you buy 3 new bottle babies. But then when you buy the bottle calves, you've got to have that time. So if you have a 9-to-5 job, you can't sit at home every day bottle feeding the calves. So that's where a lot of people get held up too, is they want to do a small bit of homesteading, but they don't have the time or the finances, because their time is in their 9-to-5 job and their finances come from their 9-to-5 job. So they can't leave the 9-to-5 to do the homesteading, because then they don't have the finances. So it's a struggle. You just got to find what works for you. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today's Sunday Monday vlog. So figure out what works for you. Figure out where you need to be financially, time-wise, mentally, emotionally, physically. What state fits you the best? What area fits you? Whether you want cold weather, hot weather, dry weather, wet weather. What are you looking at doing? Do you need a long growing season, or do you need a short growing season? Are you going to do plants, or are you going to do animals? It's all up to what you guys want to do. Norman says, yeah, glad you stopped Coke. It's pure corn fructose syrup. Not good for you at all. Yes. And that's another thing, the VA, they wanted me to get off the Coke, so they're going to be happy I finally kicked the Coke for now. Let's see. I'm toying with the idea of moving to Virginia. Norman, on the Virginia thing, Home Free Alaska just talked a little bit about Virginia. Virginia looks appealing, but I don't know what you want freedom-wise. They've changed and gutted a lot of different laws in Virginia. Taxes are a bit higher in Virginia now than they used to be. That's one of the reasons I'm not in Virginia. But like I said, some people live in California, some people live in Texas, some people live in Florida. Just do your research. Like I tell everybody, if you're gonna look, you don't have to come to Arkansas. Just because I live in Arkansas, I know I've got subscribers coming to Arkansas. But if you find a better state that fits you, you got to do that, because Arkansas provides me what I needed. I can't go to like Maine. I really, really liked Maine for the environment. However, I couldn't have my animals in Maine. So Maine was out. Alaska, I couldn't transport all my animals to Alaska. So Alaska was out. Now that I'm living in Arkansas and I watch Home Free Alaska and they talk about the cold winters and the mosquitoes and all that stuff, I don't want to go to Alaska. I'm glad I didn't go to Alaska. Arkansas is still a little bit rough for me, but it fit what I needed at the time. It fits what I need now, and I believe it's going to fit what I need in the future. So I don't look at leaving. But look at the environment, look at the taxes, look at the laws. If you're into politics, look at the politics. Look at property tax, sales tax, income tax, whatever other taxes that interest you for that state. I would highly recommend you rent a car. Don't use your vehicle. Save the miles on your vehicle. Rent a car, drive out, spend a week. Just like when I rented the car, went to West Virginia, drove around, looked at different properties, went to different establishments, did not fit me, went back to Colorado, rented a car, came to Arkansas, looked at multiple properties all throughout Arkansas. I found this community. I found the love of the Ozarks. I found a property owner willing to do an owner finance with me until I could get the mortgage through the bank before I went back into debt again. So Arkansas fit for me. But you've got to check. Do really, really good research. Yep, save mileage, wear and tear on your vehicle, because the couple $100, or now probably $500 with inflation, to rent a car is cheaper than your car going kaput shortly thereafter, and then you got to spend $50,000-$60,000 for a new car. So it's always cheaper to rent or lease a vehicle temporarily to go check out a place. Go talk to people. If you go to like Los Angeles, don't plan on talking to people, or like the Bronx in New York, places like that. You've got to feel the area. But like I said, if you want a beach background, then you don't want to move to Arkansas. If you have a taste for seafood, you don't want to move to Arkansas. You want to move to like the Chesapeake Bay area, where you got Maryland blue crabs and crab cakes that I totally missed. Oh, what I want to give for a crab cake right now from Maryland. If you want a winter wonderland all the time, you want Alaska, you want Canada. You might not even want to be in the USA. For those of you that don't know, I looked at moving to Ecuador, down by Mount Cotopaxi that erupted, and that went down the drain. But do the research, really feel out the environment, and go from there. My brother-in-law lives by Chesapeake Bay. Cheap when he bought property. Oh, I'm sure it was cheap, but like my family, I think they were paying $10,000 or $15,000 a year in property tax, and our house was on 1/25th of an acre. So like for me, I'm like the biggest property owner in my entire family. Nobody in my family ever had land like I have. Now, did they have debts like me? I don't know, because I didn't know my family's finances. But I know they probably didn't have the debt I had either. Yep, Maryland's got some crazy politics as well. Yep, I looked all over, Norman. I just had to find something that fit me. The reason I chose Arkansas, like I put in, and you won't believe this either, is so I put in, I think it was 10 or 12 offers in upstate New York. I wanted to be right by the Canadian border. Property taxes were higher. I don't agree with the politics and anti-Second Amendment and stuff like that with New York. However, I love upstate New York. All the realtors accepted my offers, or all the sellers through their realtors accepted my offers. And I had to not sign contracts because somebody told me come to Arkansas, and I found Arkansas, and Arkansas fit me so much better. Plus, what I realized after I came to Arkansas was the growing season. How long the growing season is here in Arkansas. And I know farther south it's even longer, and I could grow other stuff farther south. But there's too much humidity down south. So that's another reason I backed out of upstate New York, was I wanted more growing season, because I started thinking, I went to upstate New York, which was good I did it because Buffalo, New York got hammered with all that snow back then. So luckily I didn't move up there, or I would have got hit with that big blizzard and everything they had. And then they've had all this flooding, all the rain that went through Vermont and did all that flooding and damage. You know, my alien intuition tells me to go here, to go there. It's been working for me. But in upstate New York, I went and had the growing season, which means I'd be buying more hay, which would end up costing more money. And I wouldn't have a way to supply the animals. Where with Arkansas, as soon as I can afford to get the fencing done and get the next pen and next pen and next pen, I'll have the rotational grazing. And with the rotational grazing, that's going to cut down on hay bill, cut down on hay bill, cut down on the hay bill, because I'll have field, and I won't have to buy as much hay. So that's another thing you got to consider, is what do you want to do in that state? Long term, what does retirement look like? What does the healthcare system look like? What does the crime look like? Do you want a growing season? Do you want to be close to the beach? Do you want to be close to a big city? If you want to live in a big city, you might want to consider a small town outside the city, just so you're away from the crime. But you might find a small little town that is only 10-15 minutes away. So a 10-15 minute drive might not be bad. However, if you have disabilities or wheelchair, stuff like that, that you don't want to make that commute, or have issues, like Colorado, an hour to town was rough on me, where, you know, half hour to Harrison's not as bad. But driving, I hate driving. But you might want to consider that too. You might need to be in town so you can be close to your doctor. People in like dialysis and stuff like that, you might want to be close to that hospital. You might want to be by your doctor. If you have to do blood draw and blood work all the time, you might want to be by that clinic. You might not want to be an hour away from that town. If you have the capacity to spend the extra money to drive back and forth from town, I highly recommend getting out of town, just because you have a little bit more peace of mind. You have nature, which I think everybody needs nature in their life, whether they believe it or not. I know people want to try to be like the Lorax and make everything plastic, concrete, and asphalt, but we do need some nature in our life. My alien intuition worked to $800 a year in taxes for 1 acre with house, only pay $15,000. That's awesome, Norman. However, your taxes are a lot higher. My 120 acres, $154 a year. The house in Marshall on over an acre was $364 a year, $62 a year. So Arkansas is a lot cheaper on property taxes. So Arkansas does have you beat on that. I looked at towns next to me, 10 times the amount of taxes, slightly less crime though. No way. Yeah, so like I said, you just got to do your research. Everybody's got to do their research and just figure out where you want to go in life, what your heart desires. And like I said, whether you got to kick a Coke habit, stop drinking as many coffees, not going out to restaurants. If you take vacations, as everybody knows, this homesteader does not take vacations. I've got animals to tend to every day. Some days I don't go over there, but I can't go on vacation. But if you go on vacation, stop going on vacations. Right there, there's your couple $1,000s to buy half an acre, quarter acre, whatever you can afford to buy, and you can start your journey. Besides that, that's all I got for you guys tonight. I don't have anything else. So I appreciate everybody and their comments. Thank you, Norman. You look healthy. Dogs too. My new 6 dogs are happy. Awesome, Norman. I'm so glad your dogs are doing good and happy. And once again, I'll do one last trip around the dogs, and then I'll say goodnight to you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next video. We got Mr. Max sleeping his butt, like I said, in front of the fire. We got Mr. Chubbers on the ground now. Minnie Mouse. Oh, wag that tail, wag that tail. Oh, there's a good mamas. Oh, there's a good mamas. Yes, she is. And we got the Papa Mouse. So with that, like always, like I say, live happy, live free. That's the only way to be. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you guys. Have a great night.